Okay, here we are. Dib's Daily Devotion. Let's see what emerges today. I had a thought just before I started this about how silence sometimes feels like the greatest form of intimacy to me. And yet, because we live in such a masculine dominated patriarchal society, there's so much value given to the mind and its contents. And I suppose if that's something that I genuinely seek to balance in this world, with more illumination, like turning the spotlight from doing to being, and illuminating how much doing can flow from being, because that is my commitment to myself. I don't do at the expense of being anchored into stillness. Like if there is some level of dysregulation in my system, my priority and attention goes to balancing that, regulating myself first, and then seeing what doing will emerge from that, because often the doing that comes from a dysregulated nervous system is, I don't know if inaccurate's not the right word, but like inadequate. That's the word. Like there's like a quality of, whether it's like, so my pattern tended to be in the past, and it is still my tendency in dysregulation. Actually, I would say both different parts have different tendencies, actually, is what I would say. So some parts of me, the tendency is to do more, try harder, faster, chase, strive. And then others, the tendency is to give up, numb, lament, woe is me, and not put in any effort at all. And I suppose the balance that one can achieve with equanimity, and this happens naturally as a result of clearing out the trauma that's lodged in the body, using the TBT practices and coming to greater awareness in dislodging the density from the energy field. What happens effortlessly is action, right? So it's like effortless effort, if that makes sense. I know it might sound like I'm talking in riddles and paradoxes, and I've gotten that feedback before. And so I invite you, if it serves, take it. If not, leave it. I presuppose with these videos that who it's meant for is who will watch it, who will hear it. Like I just show up and see what wants to be said, really, and endeavor not to pay too much mind, give no consideration to the form of and just observe what emerges. So that's one piece that feels salient to illuminate. And we'll see what else is there. It's fascinating for me to observe this practice in terms of where am I sitting in how deeply am I anchored into my being, because some of these videos I'm sitting a lot more shallow in self as well. Not that I watched the first one back. None of the other ones I've watched back. Actually, there was one other one. And so just tracking, I guess, it's a refinement practice for me. It's a refinement practice for me to, whilst I'm, I guess, engaging and speaking, if I can let go of the intention to, which I have, which, you know, in this practice it's not there. There's no intention to make a point, sound eloquent, look good. That's not there. It's like, just turn up, say what's there, put it on the internet. And but part of that, I'm noticing, it allows more of the attention and the awareness to be on where am I sitting in myself? How deeply am I anchored into myself as I'm speaking? And what's the quality like? What's the coherence like? What's the tone and the sound and the feel like? I'm noticing glare. Sometimes, and you'll notice I close my eyes sometimes. It's that to drop deeper in, to see, to get, to drop deeper in as I'm sharing. And And I suppose this practice, like I can see, I notice the way the universe paces me. I notice like in patterns how I get paced with like, do this now. And then I realize that was a stepping stone building to something else. So I can imagine what I'm building to with this practice. And this is something that's also here now that I was exploring earlier today. Maybe you relate, maybe you don't. This kind of, the insight that I had earlier today that I shared with one of my beloveds is that the entire personal development industry is born out of capitalizing on an erroneous belief of inadequacy of some sort, which it's interesting for me to say that now, because as someone who has been in that industry for many years, always from the lens of the place where science and spirituality intersect, always from the space of we are already whole, holy, and free. That has always been the message that has resonated with most truth for me, and my own, and I know that all of the learning and teaching I have done has been my own embodiment practice of that, to know that more and more and more and more deeply across contexts. And Yeah, so that, I mean, I differentiate between education and embodiment. And so much of what happens is education. But I suppose the education is, we need to educate on the need for embodiment in that regard, right? We give the mind the invitation to embody more fully. I remember a client that I had way back when, maybe 2016, we worked together. 2000, and and she had said to me then, the longest journey is from the head to the heart. I later heard that that's a common saying, but that was the first time I had heard that said, and that is, yeah, what I remember sitting across from her at a cafe, um, in the inner west of Sydney, and yeah, that's the reason that she chose to do this work, because TBT has always been about embodiment. We educate to the degree that's required for embodiment. And it's interesting. I'm being trained right now. How can I maintain the dual awareness, the split awareness of speaking whilst I'm in my depths? Because often what happens is I go to that place and then I just have tears and no words. No words. Who is the I that goes to that place was the question that came up. It's true, it's not a place that we visit. Well, depending where we are on our journey. There comes a point where you transcend the human. When I say the human, I mean even the essence, like transcending the ego, that's one thing. Transcending the essence, like the soul, the individualized aspect, even that, to live as a default position instead of in the individual soul as the one consciousness, the universal spirit. And I don't want to speak too much about that because yeah, it doesn't feel true for right now. But like, even when I say that, I said earlier that the whole personal development industry is one that capitalizes off of people's false belief in self, like, necessarily so, right? Like, I'm not, you know, um, uh, diminishing it in any way, because a lot of the personal development industry is they're embodiment containers. And it's a necessary part of the process. I would say, though, that there are different routes, let's say, one can take. Mm. One can go different paces, different speeds, different vehicles of transport, whether we chip away through the psyche piece by piece by piece, which is what a lot of people do, through the personal development route, or go straight to the seed of it, the heart of it, and do it through meditation. Have the direct realization, the direct experience through meditation, and then allow the being to inform the doing in that way. And I suppose, that's why I'm such a fan of 12-step programs, because inbuilt into it is prayer and meditation. I had a circle recently, the Daughters of the Divine Sister Circle. This is something I'm hosting on the new moon each month now, and one of the people that were present last time was quite uncomfortable with silence, and just felt in her the sense of, I need to fill the space when there was silence. And I'm just noticing there's like such an opposite experience. Like when there's silence, I just want to sink into it, and I just want to settle into it, and it has such a restorative effect on me. It's like drinking from a spring, incredibly crisp and cooling and hydrating. And yeah, my practice at the moment is, can I keep that awareness of silence to the same degree, not to a lesser degree, but to the same degree, whilst I'm speaking. And it's so tricky for me, because when I'm in silence like that, it's like, I'm going to try to describe it as best as I can. It's just so orgasmic. Like the bliss is just so orgasmic. Like when I sink into the silence, it's just like I'm just like, oh my god, like the pleasure is so intense. And it's almost like, and then it's like, okay, and can speak coherently to this same degree. Like I understand why, and this is, ooh, wow, this is big. Wasn't expecting this. It's like, this is the subtle self-abandonment that happens. It's like when I'm in my depths, I'm in my bliss, and when I go to relate with someone and I'm speaking, I somehow energetically elevate higher than that. And I can still touch the bliss, but it's not to the same degree. And then what happens is, so it's a subtle form of self abandonment, because I don't feel the same degree of bliss I do when I'm relating with someone else. And now it's just speaking. It's just like the act of speaking. So here I am relating with you now, interwebs, with my eyes closed, fully focused on my own experience. Right, I shared in another video, this whole project is intimacy with the interwebs. Like, that's what this Du's Daily Devotion is about, intimacy with the interwebs. You know, just be seen in the moment, in whatever's happening in the moment. Wow. It's an interesting kind of training, hey? You're getting to watch me train myself to stay in my depths whilst I'm speaking. I'm so curious what it's like for you. I'm so curious. Like, for those of you who are watching, I so want to know what it's like for you over there. What is your experience? Please feel welcome to share your feedback with me. Yeah, I feel complete for now. Yeah. We'll see what's there tomorrow. I feel complete for now. Thank you for being with me.